As you look at this market, obviously it has been incredibly hot. We've seen a record quarter of sales here in New York City. Do you expect that can continue going into the new year?
I think we may have a little bit of a slowdown, as Matt mentioned. Rates are probably going up. The Fed announced that rates will go up maybe 2 to 3 times next year. So we may see a little bit of a slowdown. Also, supply is diminished because demand is so heightened. And remember, 2021 has been a phenomenal year in housing. And much of that is attributable to the fact that the vaccine came out a year ago. And so people are feeling very comfortable. They're returning to cities, and they really believe in the home buying process. We're now even seeing millennials buy, which, in the past, they were considered kind of the unburdened group that wanted experiences versus commitment. And now millennials are buying. Also, the fastest growing segment of our market is the Hispanic community, which is fantastic. Borders are open. Bonuses are really good. So I think we're going to continue to see spending, but it may slow down simply because supply is shrinking a bit.
Well, and will that drive more people into the rental market as well? Matt was kind of alluding to people getting priced out of home ownership just because prices have gone up so more, but you aren't necessarily met with an easier picture when it comes to the rentals market.
No, the rental market, who knew? 2 years ago, the rental market was a whole different scenario. And now it's, there's no sort of advantages in renting. You're not getting any months free. Occupancy is very tight right now. And so I think people are feeling more inspired by the fact that they want a full-on commitment. They want to make a home their own. I've had many friends who rented in New York City for a long time and decided to pull out and purchase. They wanted to invest in something that was their own, where they could raise their kids, that they could make it special to their needs. And I think rentals are great. There's a lot of people that are moving here because Microsoft is opening an office. Google's got another office. Disney. So there's a lot of young people moving here, and rental provides a sort of temporary housing. But for the long term, I think people really feel more comfortable buying, investing. It's a sacred investment. It's such an emotional commodity. And now that the, COVID, listen, that's always going to be something that we have to contend with. But, fear is probably the most unreasoning of emotions. And we saw what that did in the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, and it's great to have a home, not just a house, but a home, of course. That's what people want, part of the American dream. I was watching Being the Ricardos last night, and that's what I Love Lucy wanted to have, too. In terms of the taxes, Bess, that's a real problem in the tri-state area, in California as well, in some markets. And whether or not you get a SALT deduction cap raised now is kind of a crapshoot, but is there any other way that's going to change? Why are the taxes so high around New York and New Jersey? Why?
This is a real challenge. We've had irresponsible legislation in Albany, and there's been this sort of mindset of wanting to gain Twitter followers versus, responsible tax policy. And I think we have a new city council coming in January, which will be helpful because they determine the budget for New York. We have a new mayor, which is fantastic, who wants to work together with, teachers, with creating affordable housing, with the business community, which is something we desperately need. And we have to think about things like the 421A. We need an extension of that, and we're hoping that Governor Hochul will include that in her budget. So there's so many different things. We're tired of the divisiveness. We're tired of the demonization of the rich and tax the rich and driving people out of New York. We want people to come back to New York. We want tourism. We're pro-business. So I think you have a new mindset coming in, Matt. I think taxes have to be treated with sort of an economic mindset, and we don't want to punish people just because they're rich. Change tax code. Don't demonize the wealthy. And I think that's sort of, the AOC mindset of, tax the rich, wearing that to the Met Gala was just divisive and hurts everybody. We have to be a little bit more responsible. And I think we are going to do that in 2022. I hope. For your sake, Matt.
This is personal for Matt Miller.
Well, I also, a lot of people are divisive in this day and age, and I agree, it's not a great thing. But being the term rich, right? It's also relative. I mean, if you're raising a family of 4 in the New York suburban area and making $250,000 a year, it's still a bit of a struggle.
It is. It's very much a struggle. And look, there's a lot of people who are wealthy, who help, who do so many things, who are philanthropic, who do things to help people, who help to build affordable housing, who want to improve our environment. And so I don't think throwing labels on people just because they're wealthy is helpful. I think we have to have a new sort of way of looking at things and work together as a community to make New York stronger and not put labels on people. I think slogan politics, we've learned, sucks. And we have to create a new environment. We're all sick of it. We kind of want to work together. And most people are in this sort of moderate tent of doing the right thing. And I think hopefully 22 is going to be this sort of new day for all of us.